I'm your host, Bree Wild, and this is Marquee Memories. Here we sit down with your favorite artists to chat about their top concert memories as fans. Today's guest is a singer-songwriter celebrating the release of her sophomore album, Poster Child. After a time self-releasing music, she's partnered with Fearless Records for this next chapter. Fresh off performing at Las Vegas's When We Were Young festival, Taylor Acorn. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So we'll get to your memory, but how was your set?
Oh, it was so much fun. It was incredible. I was really nervous going into it, just from doing the covers, and then all of a sudden now I'm on a stage surrounded by all of the bands that I covered on TikTok. And it was really crazy. And I actually was playing the same time that my favorite band, Mayday Parade, was playing. And so I was pretty sure that, we would have a smaller crowd, and then I walked out there and I was mistaken.
You're like, wait, listen, don't you know that?
I was like, wait a second, I would be at that set. This is crazy. So it was awesome. My siblings got to come out and see, and they don't really get to see the inner workings of what I get to do, and especially not on that scale. So they were having such a fun time and loved it, and it was really special. It was awesome.
How did you choose the set list for this? Was it hard?
It was so hard. It was so hard. Well, because I have my record coming out on Friday, so there's a part of me that's like really antsy to play all of those new songs.
Of course.
But I know that there are a lot of people that probably haven't seen me on tour or, in their own cities. And so to come all the way out there, I wanted to at least give them some songs that they probably would know and be familiar with. So it was really, really tough. So I tried to incorporate a little bit of both, like some new ones off the new record that are already out, but some that they already know and can sing along with as well.
Was it so amazing to hear them sing along with
this song? Insane. I always get so caught off guard every single time. I feel like I live in this little bubble and I forget that I actually have people that listen to my music. So when I go out and I hear them singing and I see how excited they are, and just, it really takes me back, and I'm just so grateful. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how I even ended up here, to be honest. It's crazy.
Next time you should have a talk with the organizers about putting you on at the same time as your favorite band. That's a little unfair.
I mean, I definitely did take my inner monitor out a couple times to just listen to see if I could hear them. But yeah, no, that would be really nice for the next time going into it. But no, I'm super grateful to even be a part of it, so.
Before we talk about your first memory, did you manage to catch anybody else at the festival, or was it mostly other?
Yes. So I got to see The Maine, who I love very much. We got to see The Offspring, which was a band that I've been a fan of for years and years and years, and have always wanted to see. My sister and her husband were really excited. We've got some really fun videos of them just singing their hearts out to them. I got to catch Avril, Panic at the Disco. The first day we really tried to hit as many of the acts as we could, because my family was in town. So I was like, I just want to, give them a really good experience and be able to experience it with them. So I did get to see a bunch. Blink was crazy. Panic at the Disco was insane. So yeah, I got to see a handful of people.
So let's jump to your first memory, which is
Panic at the Disco, When We Were Young in Las Vegas, 2025.
Set the scene. Where were you in the crowd? What did this album mean to you?
Oh my gosh. So what was really cool is that spending the time with my siblings that I did at this festival, my brother is 6 years older than me. So he actually was the one to introduce me to A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. And we were actually talking about it. During their set, he tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, do you literally remember when we used to sit in the car and he was wearing the DC, the beanies, but they have the brim hats. You remember those?
Yeah.
He was like, I would wear that and we would just be listening to this album, and it's just so surreal that, this fast forward to 2025, we're getting to do this obviously as adults. It's really cool. But I just remember listening to that album on repeat and just being so infatuated with the styling of not only the music, but just the production that they had. And, when I Write Sins Not Tragedies came out, just seeing Brendan Urie and all of the guys in that band and how theatrical it was. And it was really, really cool to me. I'm just
Isn't it crazy that was the first album?
It was so insane. So insane. And we were talking about it the other day. We're it was one of those albums that I feel was so ahead of its time. And it's been so cool to see that, they just celebrated their 20 years.
Yeah.
To see how it's just like stood the test of time,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really cool experience to see them live. I didn't take a single video. My phone was away. We were just in the moment. We sat, we were like on the, gosh, I'm so bad with like we were on stage left, I think. We were on stage left. I'm so bad with that.
Side stage.
Directionally challenged. Yeah, we were like side stage in the VIP section. We were in the crowd. It was so fun. Actually, Devin from Honey Revenge was there as well. So we all were just singing together and having a blast. And from front to back, like I know that album by heart. And so we had the best time.
Does listening to that album True to Tracklist, does it like bring up memories, like tons of memories while you're listening to it in that order?
Oh, so many memories. Like I can quite literally put myself in the place where I was the first time I heard that. I used to listen to it literally on repeat. We used to have, it was one of those boom boxes where it was like half a karaoke machine, half a boom box. And I would play it and I would sing along to it. And we had this like a family room that had like pretty great acoustics in it when I was a kid. And I just would sing it over and over and over and just dancing to it with my sister and listening to it in the car, when I was a teen as well. Like just, it brought back a lot of really awesome memories. And again, I got to share those with my siblings, which is something that I don't get to do all the time,
Right.
So, yeah, it was a really, really cool place to feel like I was back in there for a few minutes.
Did you ever cover a Panic at the Disco song?
I did actually. I started off in country music, and when I was transitioning from country to the music that I make now, I'm like, I don't really know what genre that is, to be honest.
Let me
Pop
tell you,
punk.
I heard something on Reddit that I hope you don't find this genre offensive, but it's called you alternative.
The alternative. I don't find it offensive. I think at first I really wanted to like be as far away from country music as possible. Now I've kind of embraced it. I'm like, it's what makes it a little bit different. It's what makes it me.
It's like your niche.
Yeah. And so I've kind of like tried to embrace that, especially with my next project coming up. But yeah, no, I used to do covers in between, like when I was still trying to figure out what kind of music I wanted to make. And I actually did a full cover of I Write Sins Not Tragedies as a country artist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like, it was back before.
Is
like,
this on Spotify?
It is on Spotify,
okay,
yeah.
I got to look.
You got to kind of like deep dive for it. Yeah, dig. But I did a handful of covers. I did like Avril, I'm With You. And then I did one by Hello Goodbye. And then I did
I know. I listened
Disco.
to your cover of Helena, and I was like, I don't think I've ever heard the words before.
Thank you. No, but it was really cool to be able to kind of like tap back into my old, songs that I used to listen to in my old playlist, and I think that's essentially what started the whole the covers on TikTok and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I had so much fun doing it, and it really, in such a crazy time. I think it was like in the beginning of the quarantine and stuff when, everything felt so unsure and confusing. The one thing that made me feel good was just like tapping back into all of those old playlists. And yeah, so I did do a Panic song back then. So
Nice.
yeah.
Is there ever like an urge to just do more covers because they get such a crazy reaction versus like, here's a new song by me, like it must be a little scary.
I mean, I have been having like little urges as of recent. Yeah, I did a cover of Blink-182 First Date, and that was kind of like the last one. I think that was also like, for me, I went from, 0 to 100, it felt like. I'm still very much a small artist. At least I consider myself a small artist. So that was really the first time that I'd ever experienced like pretty severe negativity, which was crazy because, it's I wanted to comment back to all of them and be like,
right.
I'm a fan of this band. Like,
Yeah,
guys,
that's
I'm
why
only
I'm
doing
doing
it for fun. Yes, exactly. But in that was really cool still, despite, the negative feedback. There's been so many people who have used it for like their weddings and things like that. And, I do think about that often. And I do have a lot of fans that ask like, will you ever do like a Stay Emo Part 2? Because that was like a little acoustic project that I did. And I do think about that, and I think about songs that I would love to cover, do like a full cover of, I'm a huge Counting Crows fan. And so I would love to do something off of like August and Everything After, something like that. Like, I don't know, something that feels nostalgic, but I don't know if I would get fully back into doing only
No,
that.
and your other interviews, I think you mentioned some of their like 90s bands that came up in the 90s, like Vertical Horizon.
Yes.
You could too. I'm just planting that seed. Just planting the seed of the Counting Crows, Vertical Horizon.
Yeah. I mean, I would also love to do like The Freshmen, like my own take on that by the Verve Pipe.
Yeah.
I would love to do something like that. But again, I'm just like, I've been so focused on my own music and my own project, and trying to incorporate something like that into a set list, I might do, but I don't know if I'll do it like as a project. Full, I think it would be like a off the cuff, like, oh, this is what we're gonna do, and that be the only thing.
And that was sort of like a warm up into writing your own songs, anyway,
yeah,
right?
Like, for sure.
So now you feel warmed up.
Yeah, I do for sure.
Cool. Let's go then.
Okay.
Good segue to
Goo Goo Dolls at the Franklin Amphitheater in Tennessee in 2023. Yes.
Please set the scene.
That was incredible. I mean, that was my very first time ever going to the Franklin Amphitheater as well. And it's so beautiful. You walk in, it's a pretty long walk. It's like half a mile to get in there. And it's very like reminiscent of like a small Red Rocks, it looked like. And it was really cool. And like the way that the sound like bounces off of like the quarry. I think it is like a rock quarry. Cool. The way that the sound would bounce off of it. I'm trying to remember. I think it was
is that the cave one?
Yeah, it's not the cave.
Okay.
There is the caves, and I want to go to that so badly.
So,
no. One of my friends saw Rainbow Kitten Surprise there, and I was like, "You're living my dream." So cool. But it's like a rock quarry, so it's like almost like a horseshoe shape.
Okay. And
then the way that it's set up, it looks very much like a mini Red Rocks in Tennessee. It's really cool. But I think it was them and. I want to say, what is it? Not OAR, but maybe was it the Green River Ordinance? Is that a band?
I don't know.
I can't remember who was with them. It was somebody. I think that's the band name. I might be getting it wrong, but it was them. And yeah, no, that was really cool because I'm just a very nostalgic person. So getting to see them play all of those songs like Black Balloon and Sympathy and stuff, it puts me back in such a place where I feel so just warm. And back then when I was hearing those songs for the first time, it was so innocent. I was a kid, and a lot of the time I'm wanting to feel that feeling again, and so that was really cool to experience.
What was your favorite song to sing along to at that?
Oh gosh, probably Black Balloon. That first riff when they start playing that it just gets me in my feels. That one, and Sympathy, obviously I really feel connected to that song, especially in my career, and just kind of learning the entertainment industry and things like that. I feel like I relate to that one a lot. Iris is always a good one. Everyone knows that song. So seeing every single person in that amphitheater singing along was really cool. But yeah, no, there's a handful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever see them again after that? I mean, I guess that was pretty recent. So
no, I haven't. But I was very jealous because Dashboard Confessional just did a tour with them, and I remember when I was on tour with Dashboard back in October of last year, and Chris was talking about that, and I was like, that's literally my dream tour. I was like, if you want to bring us along, like, feel free. I mean, I'll come. I'll work for you for free. But no, it was. I would really love to be able to either do something with them in the future, at least. If I can't see them. But
so that was your first show at the Franklin Amphitheater, then?
Yeah.
Was that sort of like your home venue then? Is that the closest? Or were you at
it's one of them. I think there's a handful. I'm located in Nashville, and it's a music city, so there's there's a lot of really awesome venues. But that was one that I think is like more on the new side. So I had seen photos and stuff of people going and seeing their like bands that they love there, and so yeah, that was the first time that I had experienced that. So I think on the larger scale, like the mid to large outdoor So yeah, I think that's like one of them.
Nice. Maybe able to play that.
I know. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping somebody wants to take me out and we get to go there. So.
What was your introduction to Goo Goo Dolls then? Was it just,
I think, when I was a kid, so my family, we lived in Seattle. And I think, that being there and having such a prominent rock scene, I feel like it was like them, Matchbox 20, Smashing Pumpkins, back in the day, early 90s. They were on heavy rotation on all of the radio stations that my family would listen to. My dad was like a big rock fan, my mom as well. And so that was always something that was really prominent in our house. And so whenever I would hear them, I just remember thinking that his voice was so unique. It was like the same feeling that I would feel when I would listen to like Rob Thomas. Like they have just such a unique sound. And it just, I don't know, like to me, I just felt like I was like on a cloud, just floating whenever I would hear like Iris and stuff. So, that was kind of where I got like my first introduction to them. And then, as I got older, I kind of got to find other, works that they've done and other albums. And, I was really heavy into the CD burning back in the day. I don't like to admit that. Got a lot of viruses.
It was of the time.
Yes, I remember trying to like delete the viruses from delete the apps from my mom's computer so she wouldn't tell. But as soon as you open, like all of the viruses pop up. But I was like really heavy into like burning my own CDs and stuff. And that's when I kind of got to find different projects of theirs and, got to like broaden my knowledge and my love for their music. But I just love that band so much, and it was so cool to be able to see them live, and especially when it's in a time where you don't really know if they're going to continue touring for much longer. So
true. Yeah. They've always made it like, maybe.
Yep.
You don't know. Kids these days, not to date myself, but kids these days don't understand the ease of which they have in searching for music versus the Napster, LimeWire days.
Oh my gosh.
When you were constantly downloading things that weren't quite it.
Yeah, or like what was it? The MP3 to or YouTube to MP3 you had to do for a while. I had to go in and but there's like, but I think also too, it's like that was such a cool thing that we got to do. We genuinely got to find music that we liked because we liked it, and because we had to search for it, and not just because it was on a playlist. Yes, and which is a great thing, also too, an amazing tool that we've been given. But there is something that was really special and something to be said for like actually going and finding the bands and falling in love with a whole, album rather than just a single. Like that to me, I feel like is so special and something that I was really happy that I got the opportunity to have. And MySpace, you got to choose your songs, and that was fun.
What was your profile song?
Oh gosh, it was for the last one I can remember was Breaking Benjamin. I think it was not Diary of Jane. It was off of like, I guess one of their like more at that time relatively new. It was definitely like a Breaking Benjamin song. I had a handful. Like Saving Jane, I was really into back in the day, like in that era. Them, Goo Goo Dolls, Matchbox 20, like all of those. Tried to be like cool, and it's like, I'm a 90s girl. I listen to the 90s music. So, Mayday Parade was one. I think When I Get Home, You're So Dead. That was one that I had for a while. Yeah.
Are you the first one in your family to be a professional musician?
Yes.
How's that?
So it's weird. It's definitely weird. No one in my family is really like into instruments or anything.
They're just fans of listening.
They are huge music fans. Like my sister and my brother both have amazing music tastes. But when it came to music, like that was always something that I kind of found myself. I taught myself how to play guitar by watching YouTube videos, and I learned how to sing by listening to Evanescence, which is a fun fact. I really love that first Fallen record I like would listen to on repeat and try to mimic Amy Lee, and that's how I learned how to sing. I didn't really take any vocal lessons. I think I took like one, but I'd never really, done anything like that, and just like listened to her and like Sarah McLachlan. And when I found Haley from Paramore, I was like, oh, this is new. This is cool.
Yeah.
So I really just like had to teach myself and kind of found my own path in that way. But I think it's so cool because we're all like doing different things, but they love what I do and appreciate it so much. So I have a lot of support there.
So it wasn't like forced on you or anything. It wasn't like
Oh,
you
no.
must do music. It's like just like whatever.
No, if anything, it was like hey, Taylor, you should probably focus on your academics. And like, you've got a soccer game that you have to like have good grades to play.
Like,
and
I'm singing to Evanescence right now.
literally, I mean, in high school, I had made really good friends. She's still like my best friend from back home, still to this day. But she actually, before I could play guitar, she knew how. And so her and I would literally sit in the stairwells during like our like the random periods that you would have the free period, and we would just cover songs and sing songs, and like other kids would come in and like listen to us and stuff. Like that's what I was focused on and that's what interested me. And so I was like not very good at school, and I just wanted to make music and do music, and my mom was always like, you might want to have a backup plan. I support this, but I think it's taken her the last few years of my career to really be like,
it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening. She's like, I love it and I want you to be able to do this and pursue this, but like maybe you do need a little bit more money than what you have in your bank account right now. Like,
fair mom.
She's doing her mother duties. And
absolutely.
I do have like a really great support system from them all, and it's been really cool to be able to share like my love for like just performing and things with them, and they come to all of my shows, the ones that they can come to when I'm on tour and stuff. So it's been really fun.
Well, it's been great for them to watch you up there at Old Marion.
My brother is like not a very emotional person, but he's like, it really takes a lot to not like just want to start crying, because we have an interesting story. We've like, our dad passed away when we were really young, and so it's kind of just been like the three of us. I don't want to get emotional, but it's been like the three of us and my mom. And so, to have, my brother's also like 6 years older than me. So when my dad passed, he really stepped up and was like the father figure, and, on all of that. My mom had to go back to work and school and things like that. She was a stay-at-home mom when he passed. So, our whole family dynamic changed. So to have them be there, and him especially, I don't want to get emotional about it.
Just take a breath.
I know, I'm like, I don't want to get it, but to have him there and like see it and like be so emotional was like really, it was cool.
Good.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just emotional. I'm also like a girl, and it's
it's fair.
TMI.
Your eyeliner is still perfect. It's fine.
I'm just a girl.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
So that must have been.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Shall we go to Paramore?
Oh yes, Paramore at Arts and Friends Fest in Nashville in 2018.
This was pre-pandemic.
This was one of the coolest experiences that I've had. I come from a really small town. Like, we lived in Seattle, but when my dad passed, we ended up moving to be closer to family. And I moved to this town in literally the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And that's where like all of my mom and my dad's extended family and they all lived there. So I didn't really have anybody who listened to the same music, like had the same taste of music that I did. It was like very country driven. Like people would drive their tractors to school, kind of country. So I found Haley. I was actually introduced to Paramore from my cousin, and he was a huge fan. He's a couple years older than me. And I just remember being so just like, oh my gosh, this is like something I've never heard before. Like her hair and the way that she moves on stage, and like the lyrics I felt so connected to, as like an angsty teen, like she was like everything that I wanted to be and more. And I just remember watching like all of their like early AOL sessions and like their live shows, and I was like, I want to do that with my life someday. Don't know how I'm ever going to achieve that, but that's what I want to do. And so when I got the opportunity to see them, actually, the first time I saw them was at Warped Tour. But the first like full concert experience that I had was in 2018. And that was so cool. And it was such a crazy experience too, because I remember she was like, this is the last time we're ever playing Misery Business. They play it again now.
But it was retired
at the time.
Yes.
And so I felt like it was a really cool, special moment. And just a really like, I don't know, like I feel so connected to their music and them as a band, and I've been such a fan for so many years. And so like even now I take a lot of inspiration from her, especially in like the live performance, like the energy aspect of it. So it was just really cool to see her in that element at that time in their career as well. Like they've had so much success at that time. And so, it was really awesome.
It must be cool to also, like, it's sort of on my future bucket list to just see bands play their hometown.
Right. Yes.
So it must have been special to see them play Franklin.
Oh, yeah. It was just like, there's just a different energy there. I think you could just tell. She was like, this is home. And I obviously don't know her personally or anything, but I can imagine, just from my own experience, like you play a hometown, like all of your friends are there, all of your family's there. Like there's just an energy. And I remember she pulled a couple people up on stage to sing Misery Business. And I was like, I wish that was me. But maybe one day. But no, it was a really awesome experience and something that I cherish a lot. And I just, again, like I take a lot of inspiration from her. So
I remember when that was announced, I was like, oh, why isn't that here?
I know. It was a really cool experience. I'm very grateful.
Who else played that? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh.
Their friends.
It was their friends. I remember we showed up late. So I showed up for their set. I was with a friend of mine. But I can't remember. Again, it'll probably come to me like in the next 30 minutes and I'll be like, oh, that's who it was. But yeah, we showed up a little bit late, and so I got to see only them that day, but it was very fun and very worth it.
How did you feel about them retiring Misery Business?
I was sad, but I think I could understand. They had been playing it since like 2007 or something, 2006, and so.
And it was the language of it that she had
the language of it also too. And, she is very like, I mean, feminist, she like preaches feminism and things like that. And so I can completely understand why she wouldn't I don't relate to that anymore. And, obviously as a fan, that was like the first introduction that a lot of us had. Yeah. And so, it was sad, but again, like there are so many more of her songs that I'm like, I want to hear like,
this opens
my
up
heart
the spot
and stuff.
For it.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, bring back that first album. Like, I want to hear My Heart. I want to hear Emergency. I want to hear these songs. There's more room for that now.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I thought of that. Like, it's sad, but I can understand playing that every single day for years.
And just be like, ugh, these lyrics. But,
yeah.
But now she accepts, I think, that it's historical for them.
Yes.
It's a historical part of their history. So
yeah,
it's okay to play it now.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I can appreciate, it was something that really skyrocketed their career and made them what they are now. And, obviously they've gone through a bit of a transition and which I'm such a fan of. I just heard her most recent solo project. I'm like, what in that? It's so cool how she went about doing that too, was just like, to the radio stations, here you go. Yeah. No one else heard it.
And there was the way she set it up, I don't know if you saw the website, where you played each individual track and we're like, wait, which one's first? Which one? What?
Yeah, no one knew.
And then put it in your own order.
That's
and
so cool.
It was such like a little treasure hunt for everything. Do you like that album?
I do a lot. What is it? The Parachute. I've been listening to a lot. Good. And I'm like, who? I'm like trying to understand what angle she wrote it from. I'm like, her and Taylor together still. I'm like, don't want to get too much into the lore of it, but
in the theories, the conspiracy theories.
I'm like a super fan.
There's a part she sings in that song where I'm like, she sounds like she's gonna cry.
Yeah, gutted, and I was like, I could totally relate to the feeling of that too. So it's just, again, she's just always been super relatable as an artist, and I love everything that she stands for, and she has such an powerful voice, and what's there not to love? Yeah.
It might be my favorite album of the year. Maybe.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
mean, I could agree.
Yeah. So have you seen Paramore since then?
I have not. So I really wanted to see them at Riot Fest a few years ago, but we didn't get the opportunity. We had to head out. So I was kind of bummed. But
it must be tough when you're on these festivals because you're obviously there to play, but you're like, I want to see them.
I want to see all of them. And a lot of the times it's you're either playing the same time as them or it's interesting, as a small artist, you kind of get I guess they would be less desirable for me. I'm I'm happy any slot that I get. I'm thank you for even considering me for this. But no, there's definitely been a lot of times where I'm oh my gosh, I need to see these people. I think Avril was one of them. I can't remember what was it. Might have been like Slam Dunk or something. I remember she was playing like the opposite day that we were or something, and I couldn't see her, but I got to see her eventually. So
Nice.
that was cool.
How was her set this year?
Great. She sounded amazing. And like, just knowing her whole story and her battle with like Lyme's disease and stuff, like I can only imagine it's tough getting up on stage and having to sing and like
Putting 100%.
the energy when you don't have it is like crazy. Like, I mean, I can only imagine what it's like. And so I admire her so much. She sounded amazing. I mean, it's always so fun to see her play live and like get to experience those songs. I mean, I was like 8 years old when her very first record came out. So I'm just like, it's crazy.
One thing I admire about Avril is like she's always been Avril. Like you think some people like thought she was just a phase when she came out, and just a no, Avril is Avril, and she's always been Avril.
Always been,
and that's like a good role model.
I think it's so admirable too. You know what I mean? Especially for young girls, and like that's like watching a lot of how she navigated her career and like putting it into my own. It's like she's always been so unapologetically herself, and she would straight up be like, if I didn't want to wear something, I would bring my own stuff to wear, and I'd say, this is what we're wearing. And I feel I align with that so much. It's like this is kind of what it is, and I don't think I'm anything crazy special, and so like I really appreciate how like unapologetically herself she's been and has maintained that personality. And she is, like, you're right, she's Avril.
No, not able to be duplicated.
Yes, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about Poster Child.
Yeah.
So what are you the poster child for?
Oh gosh. I mean, it's kind of a funny little, like, it's a bit sarcastic, honestly. Like I told you, I'm the only one in my family that's like done music, and I'm the middle child, and we tend to have a bit of a stigma. Kind of march to the beat of our own drum. My mom has plenty of stories that I'm sure she would be so happy to share.
We'll have your mom on next time.
Yeah, next time. But I definitely felt like, I was kind of always the one that was just like not really making the greatest of decisions. Like I've always very much had to learn from my mistakes and learn from, my mom could be like, Taylor, don't do this. Taylor, don't do this. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do the exact opposite of what you tell me to do, And, both of my siblings are very successful in their own right. My sister's a nurse and like has a family, and she's younger than me. So that's always like an interesting dynamic, and my brother as well is like very successful in business. And, I'd like to think that we all turned out, now in a pretty decent way. Like my mom did a good job, but definitely, had to kind of go through my own like trials and tribulations to find my own path. And, but I do acknowledge that now, even though I felt like such a black sheep and I wasn't great at school and all the things, like I felt like so lame back in the day. Now I can recognize that I have such an amazing group of people that look to my music every day to get them through the day, or for a little like glimmer of positivity and hope. And I think that that's such an interesting position to be in, because I felt like I was so lost for so long, and now I'm helping people get through their own feeling of that. And so it's kind of a funny way of being like, I'm the poster child of quite literally screwing everything up just enough to get myself to a place where I'm doing okay. And
I'm writing about it.
Yes, and like I can write about it, and I can, hopefully help people who are feeling the same way, whether it's an artist, whether it's, somebody who just wants to chase their dreams, no matter what it is. Like they can look at my experience and be like, I can do it. Like if she could get through that, I can get through that. And so it's an interesting little situation to be in. And so I'm like calling myself the poster child when I so wasn't as a kid. But now my siblings like showing up to see me play like that, and like seeing the people that showed up. It's a really interesting position to be in. So
yeah, things feel
good. It does.
And let's see. So what else can we expect from the album? I guess by the time this airs, it'll be out.
Yeah.
You can tell us about any of the other.
Oh, gosh. I feel like, I took a lot of inspiration for this record from a lot of the music that I listened to growing up. It feels very nostalgic. It feels, to me, I feel like it's the best writing that I've ever done. It's, feels the most me and authentic to myself. I took a lot of time to really like be mindful and curate and write. And I wrote so much. I had been touring for like 2 years straight. So my last project I felt like was not necessarily thrown together, but it happened very fast. And this was the first time in a while that I actually got to like sit with myself and write music by myself, because I hadn't done that in a long time. I'd been
like
co-writing.
a focused session.
Yes, like and there had been a handful of things that had happened in my life simultaneously to touring that, weren't really the most positive. And so like just being able to be home, have that time to process things, think about what I wanted to say, who I want to be, the music that I want to put out moving forward, the message that I want to send. I really got to like find myself, I think, for the first time in a long time, Yeah. And I started writing Poster Child, and then I started writing this song called People Pleaser, which is kind of a very sarcastic way of saying, like, I'll do whatever you want. I'm a people pleaser to my core, I am. But, over the years, you learn to kind of leave that side of you. I mean, I feel like there's an edge when you live on social media and you're having to do all of that. I'm sure you probably know as well. But
you have to draw the line somewhere for your own personal health.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, no, I found a lot found out a lot about myself, and the people that I was working with were just people that I had admired, even their artistry and their songwriting, and I we were writing at like 8 a.m. some days, and it felt like I was just in there, and just the creativity was just flowing. It was awesome, and I'm really proud of this project. I'm really excited for everyone to hear it, and I'm nervous at the same time, because I'm like saying, oh, this is the best thing I've ever done, and if people think it sucks, I'm like, well,
don't read the comments.
It's okay. I love it.
When you play a new song live for the first few times, are you kind of like focused internally on getting it right, or are you looking at the crowd for, how they're absorbing it? Like what's going through your head? I
definitely think I internalize a lot of the feeling. Like I am like, don't mess up. Remember your words. Just try to get into it as much as you can. It's always a little bit more difficult, especially to like presenting a new song to fans, because if they don't really know it,
they're absorbing it, but they're not like rocking out to it.
Yeah, it's not the same feeling that I would be if I was playing like it was one of my older songs, And so, but I think that is something that's so awesome about social media, is that you can kind of tease songs ahead of time.
Yes.
And so what I've been finding is that like when people are getting really excited about a new song, they kind of learn the words to the parts that the little bits and pieces that they get to see online. And so, I remember we played Hangman for the first time, which is off of my new record in the UK. And people were singing like they knew it for years. Yes. Like they knew all of the lyrics and, the chorus and stuff, and they were just getting really into it. It's really crazy to see like fans get to know it ahead of time like that.
That's cool.
And it feels really special. But there was one song I remember, Coma, that I was releasing midst one of my tours that I was on, and I remember telling my tour manager, I don't want to play this song. Like, I don't think they're digging it. Like, I don't think they're into it at all. And she was like, they don't know it yet. Let it come out. Yeah. Let it, give
it room to breathe.
Let it breathe for a few days, and then of course it's like one of my favorites to play now. Nice. So, but yeah, no, I definitely tend to internalize that feeling a little bit of like, just don't mess up. Focus on the words, focus on the music, like you'll be fine. Yeah. Give it some time.
Do you have any shows you're going to as a fan coming up?
Oh man. As of right now, no.
You have a tour coming up?
That's a lie.
Oh.
That's a lie. I'm going to see Mayday Parade this week on Wednesday. Yeah. They're in town. I totally forgot about that. I didn't get to see them. Obviously, I played at the same time they did. And so now I'm excited because I get to see a whole all
Wait, are
of
you
their
seeing
work.
Mayday PA tomorrow? What,
Yeah.
ultimately?
Yes.
I'm upset because tomorrow there's so many shows in Los Angeles, and I have to. The Wombats are playing.
Oh, no
All Time
way.
Low and Mayday
Oh,
Parade are playing.
yes.
Yellow Card and A Day to Remember are playing. That's
Oh
the
my
show that
gosh.
I'm going to.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
But like, who booked this?
I mean, yeah,
Who made
no,
me make the hard decisions?
they're all coming from when we were young too,
Yes,
so it's like
yes.
everybody's.
So yeah, it'll be good to
That's
see
awesome.
a whole Mayday Parade show.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be nice to actually see them in like entirety and not just 30 minutes.
Yes, for
so
sure.
that will be really fun. But
When
I'm excited.
I went to, did you play Warped Tour in
Long Beach.
Long Beach?
Yes, I did.
I didn't get to see that because I wimped out. As for the bands that I wanted to see, I felt like it was like super overcrowded and I was overwhelmed. So I went home and bought the tickets for Cartel and Dance Hall Crashers, and I was like, I'm going to a full show.
Oh,
Going to a full show.
and sometimes I feel like that's a better experience, because you get more of like a chance of seeing the songs that you want to see and hear. And that whole experience was something that, I've been to Warped Tour back in the day, back in like 2014, like 2018, I think was the last time. I have never seen it that crowded before, ever. It was very crowded. And even I was like, this is overwhelming, just even as an artist, like being backstage and just seeing everybody. I'm like, I can't even process what's happening right now. And so I totally, you did the right thing, I'm sure.
Yeah. I felt bad for wimping out, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to the full show, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I feel like festivals are still great for music discovery and
for
like getting to
sure.
see a little bit of everybody.
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of people discover you that way, because they're coming in for maybe to see Avril, but who's this playing on this, on the earlier set? So maybe she'll take you on tour someday.
I know, I'm crossing my fingers. I was like, that would be amazing.
Good fit.
That would be good, I think. But
just manifest.
Yeah, I've been crossing my fingers one day.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those memories with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.